Last year, Waterloo region was thriving. Our economy was strong and our population was growing. Unemployment rates were low and development was booming. But not all members of our community were benefiting, and for those who were being left behind, 2019 was a rough year. The region's homeless shelters couldn't keep up with exploding demand and saw an increase of 21% in bed nights. Longer stays and greater depth and complexity of clients' needs, and an overall lack of affordable and supportive housing options were the reasons. And as a consequence of inadequate shelter capacity, the number of unsheltered individuals also skyrocketed. There were as many homeless people sleeping rough as there were sleeping in shelter beds. The wait list for affordable housing grew from 4,000 households a couple of years ago to almost 5,000, and female-led lone parent families made up the bulk of that wait list. The Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives ranked Waterloo Region as one of the worst places in Canada to be a woman. We scored particularly poorly on measures of physical and economic security, with higher than average rates of sexual assault reporting and a gender wage gap greater than most of the country. Lack of access to childcare was one reason for women's unequal workforce participation, as the number of licensed childcare spaces fell an estimated 3,600 short of meeting the need. But as rough as things got for vulnerable people in 2019, they would have been worse if not for the work of the YW. In 2019, we provided emergency shelter to 409 homeless women and 185 children in our family shelter, and we operated 2 temporary winter shelters for hundreds more adults who would otherwise have been out in the cold. We provided supportive and affordable housing to 68 women and 37 children living in low income and with histories of homelessness, and we began working on a 5-year strategy to add significantly to our current permanent housing stock. We opened 2 new employment and entrepreneurship programs and provided training and paid work experience that helped 32 young and newcomer women facing barriers to employment to find and create their own jobs. We provided early learning and care to 1,027 children and began planning the construction of a new large childcare centre for 88 more infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. And we launched a 4-year advocacy initiative designed to raise awareness of and reduce violence against women in Waterloo Region. That was last year, and in retrospect, it was a good year. But early this year, a pandemic swept the world and Waterloo Region wasn't spared. The YW's childcare and before and after school programs have all been shut down by order of the province of Ontario. Our employment and entrepreneurship programs continue to deliver classes electronically, but our In Her Shoes store is closed. Our emergency shelters and supportive housing programs, all declared essential services, continue to operate, but they struggle to meet many of the new health and safety requirements that our pandemic response demands. Our fundraising events have been cancelled, and with the economy in collapse, our donations have dropped. And as difficult as the situation is for the YW, it's immeasurably worse for the vulnerable women and families we serve. The massive layoffs that have occurred in the hospitality and childcare sectors disproportionately affect women. In times of economic and family stress, domestic violence rates rise, and women and children are usually the victims. Free and inexpensive sources of food for female-led lone parent families living in low income are no longer available to them. Women who are unsheltered have nowhere to go to self-isolate. We don't know, no one knows how long the pandemic will last or what their future will bring for the YW. But we've been here in Waterloo Region for 115 years now and we're not going anywhere. 2019 was a good year. 2020 won't be good, but the YW will be here, doing whatever we can to make it better.